it's your girl Melanie, just sitting here wondering what the hell's going on in my industry. This video is going to be a little bit on the messy side because I'm not going to really be able to edit it. I think I'm just going to upload straight from my phone, so apologies in advance for just all of it, just everything, the whole thing. I'm so sorry. But I felt the need to ramble a little bit about COCKYGATE because this whole thing is just so crazy, and it just keeps getting crazier. If you're not up to date on it, Google it, because I could spend like 40 minutes going over all of the crazy things that have happened so far. Basically, an author named Faleena Hopkins took out a trademark for the phrase the cocky series for the use in romance novel titles. And she started sending cease and desist letters to other authors, many of whom I believe had been using the word cocky since before Faleena ever even had used it. I believe that there's actually evidence to suggest, if not prove, that she in fact had not even used the cocky series in her titles until possibly right before she filed for the trademark. The books in question are about a family called the Cocker brothers, and that seems to be the series title she was using up until relatively recently, which puts her on very shaky ground in terms of the legality of this trademark. Thankfully, there's a retired attorney who's now an author who sort of caught wind of this on social media and has filed a petition. He feels that Hopkins definitely does not have a good enough standing to hold this trademark, so he's filed a petition to have it rescinded. His name is Kevin Knupper. I was homeschooled, I can't pronounce names. It's Knupper. Knupper. I'm just gonna call him Kevin. I love you, Kevin. So he has taken it upon himself to do this, and we're all very grateful because this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. Since this has happened, someone set up a bot on Twitter that actually combs the U.S. Patent Office public filings, because every time someone applies for a patent or a trademark, it goes public for public objection, basically. The only reason no one objected originally to the cocky trademark is because no one knew about it. Most authors, especially indie authors, don't ever trademark anything, really. So it was not something most of us ever think about. But now there's this bot that monitors it for us. And it's great because there have been a few instances of other authors trademarking similar common words. And I believe a few of them have already been withdrawn. The people realized very quickly that this was not a battle that they wanted to fight. So the general consensus amongst most sane people has been, gosh, maybe it's a bad idea to try and trademark a common word for use in book titles. And it sure would be nice if that was happening with Hopkins, but it appears she is willing to fight this to the death. Basically, where we're at right now is now that Kevin has filed this petition to have the trademark rescinded, Hopkins' response basically was to request a restraining order against Kevin and to have his case dismissed with prejudice. Yeah, that's not how this works. You can't just file a restraining order against an attorney to avoid legal consequences, to your actions. Like, can you imagine if that's how the world worked? Like, you could rob someone, and then when the district attorney tried to bring charges against you, you'd be like, oh, no, you can't do that because I just filed a restraining order. No, honey, that's not what restraining orders are like for. That's not what they do. That and to have a case dismissed with prejudice. Basically, to dismiss something with prejudice is the judge saying this is a waste of everyone's time and you cannot ever bring it to court again. It's typically used in situations where a person is actually utilizing the legal system to harass someone, which does happen. And, you know, it's not something that you do to a legitimate case just because the person that it's being brought against doesn't like it. Just general case dismissal is pretty common. That's more just the judge saying, you know, you haven't convinced me based on what I have seen here that you have any kind of case, so go away. But, you know, you can come back and try again if you manage to get your shit together. Dismissal with prejudice is no, never again. This whole entire thing is complete bullshit. So, yeah, it's not the kind of thing that you do for a case that has, basis to it. Which, Kevin's case, him being, I believe, a former IP attorney, I think I remember him saying that was actually his specialty back before he retired and became an author. He probably knows what makes a legitimate trademark, you know, and what doesn't. I'm just guessing that he would be in the position to know that. Now, interestingly, Hopkins is not doing this pro se. She actually does have legal representation, which is amazing, because there is someone who calls himself a legal professional who is telling her, yeah, it's a good idea to go ahead and file a restraining order against an opposing attorney. Yeah, it's a good idea to file a trademark for a logo where you use a font face that you don't have the license for to even do that. Which, yeah, that's another thing she did. She filed a word mark, which is basically a logo for the Cocky series, using a font face that someone found, like, available for general sale from the designer, which generally wouldn't be the case if someone had a license to trademark that design, because that precludes anyone else, you know, like, using it for that word. So you can't just go around, you can't sell a license that lets somebody trademark a font and then go around and sell that font to other people. Like, that's crazy. So someone contacted the designer, and the designer said, yeah, she doesn't have the license to do that, obviously. So, yeah, there's a lot going on here, and I don't even know, you guys. The whole thing is absolutely nuts. I've never even heard of someone trying to file a restraining order against an opposing attorney like this, and I lurk on the legal advice subreddit like it's my job. I'm there all the time reading crazy stories. I just find it super entertaining. I love it. I've heard of people doing absolutely balls out crazy things through the legal system before. That's a new one by me. I've never heard of it. Maybe it's some kind of standard thing that I just haven't heard of before, but I get the feeling that it's not at all. And I don't think a judge would look kindly on it, because it's kind of nuts, and it shows a strong sense of, like, I don't want to be held responsible for my actions. You know? So, yeah. This whole thing is just absolutely... I can't even wrap my head around it. Thankfully, it doesn't affect me directly. And I am able to kind of look on from the sidelines and be like, wow, that's some crazy nonsense going on over there. But, you know, I think it's important that we set a precedent for this, because this could happen over and over again, and it potentially already is gearing up to happen again, because it's almost like this has brought it to people's attention that filing a trademark for a book title is a possibility when they hadn't necessarily thought of it before. So there's like this rush of trademarks now, and some of them do have the potential to really affect other authors. Like, what if someone tried to trademark the word billionaire in book titles, what would happen to me? My God. So I think we definitely, we all need to band together on this and really make sure that we support those who are in a position to actually do something legally about it. Kevin is on Twitter. Google it. It's Kevin, Keupper. He's at Nipperwriter. He has so far hasn't asked for anything except, visibility. He's sharing all of the, public documents as they come to light. He says he doesn't need any money. He doesn't need any assistance with anything. He's got this. However, I do recommend following him because if anything does come up where any of us can be of use to him, that's probably where he will communicate with people. And, you can Google him, pull him up on Amazon or wherever, buy his books, support him because he's doing a good thing for all of us. This is important. This is important for all authors in all genres because the trademark system should be used to protect a brand that you have built with your blood, sweat, and tears and money. It shouldn't be used to try and control other authors, to try and assert ownership over a word that you're not even using in a particularly unique way. It shouldn't be used to bully and intimidate people. It's an important thing that is a good thing that it exists, but it shouldn't be used in this way. So we definitely need to step up and do something about this without being mean-spirited, without harassing Hopkins or her readers or her friends. That doesn't get us anywhere. What we do need to do is take the proper legal channels to make sure that this is squashed and hopefully to make anyone else who's thinking of doing something like this think twice about wanting to waste all their time and money to bully authors into changing their book titles. That can be an expensive undertaking. It can really wreck your brand to have to go and change your titles and change all your book covers and everything. A lot of people have already had to do it just to get their books reinstated on Amazon, and it really sucks that they've had to do that while things are kind of still in limbo right now. I think it's pretty obvious to me that people are just using the word cocky because it's a word that describes a certain personality type that is popular in romance novel heroes. They're not trying to rip off anyone's brand. That's not what's happening here. This isn't like Tippy Toes and Happy Feet. This is just people using a word. We're authors, that's what we do. We use words that communicate ideas. Okay, I think that's probably all I have to rant about for right now. I'm gonna try and get more into vlogging because it's fun, and hopefully have a much better setup for it in the future. I'm literally just holding my phone right now, sitting on my bed. Eventually I'm gonna get a microphone set up and I'm gonna start rambling about all kinds of bullshit and you're gonna really love it. I think I'm gonna start maybe a specific channel or specific series about all my keto stuff. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out. I'll be sharing a YouTube link soon, hopefully. And yeah, I have a book coming out soon, I promise. It's really happening. It's almost done. I've been saying that for a year, but it really is almost done, so keep an eye out. I'm gonna go. I need a glass of wine. Bye.